Thanks everyone for joining. My name's Chris. I'm one of the co-founders of CourseStack. I'll be chatting with Anthony today from Level Effect about their content, their business, how they use CourseStack, tips, some of their awesome courses that they've been developing over the past year. We've also got on the call here as other panelists my other two co-founders, Barrett and Evan. So they'll be moderating the chat and the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop something in there. So real quick on CourseStack, if you're not familiar yet, we are an online learning platform designed specifically for technical content. So we make it really easy to host courses, workshops, other online delivered educational events with virtual machines embedded directly into the course content, accessible through the browser, and as well as some other technical content types as well, like code workspaces and Jupyter notebooks. So we've been working with Anthony for a little over a year now from the Level Effect team. And I want to throw it over to him to give a brief intro and tell us more about Level Effect and their business.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Chris, for the introduction. Thanks for having me on, to all of you, Chris, Barrett, Evan, all three of you over there. And hello, everyone, as well, too, in chat. Hope you find this a good conversation, a little bit of a backstory history as well, too, about what we do and why we do it. But yeah, I think, Chris, we've known each other actually a little bit more over a year, right? I mean, I think back through an old life when we were still on our old learning management system before the CourseStack days, which I'm going to go into. So I think it's been over a year, right? Like two?
Yeah.
3 years
Yeah.
almost?
I mean, we've chatted for, quite a while, but
Yeah.
never had the chance to work together until just now. So it's been a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's been good, even though I definitely have a lot of asks. But anyways, I'll get to those as well. But anyways, yeah, so good to have everyone over here with us in this chat. I'm Anthony Bendas, one of the co-founders and course creators and instructors over here at Level Effect. I see a lot of familiar names in chat, so it looks like I've known quite a bit of you. Good to have you all here as well. Um, just kind of like I was saying, we've been working with Chris and a team over their CourseStack more officially now over the past, coming up to a year, just about, I think in May, was when things kind of went live, or June, I think it was, when we went live with some courses. But yeah, about a year since we've been talking. And I guess
Yep.
Level Effect, bit of a way to summarize us, because we definitely change what we do here and there. But what we really are, we are a defensive tradecraft cybersecurity training school. Really, that's it. With a trade school focused approach. I think that's probably the tightest way to summarize what we do and why we do and how we do it. So, not theoretical, not fluff, trade school based approach of training defensive tradecraft professionals. That's my long-winded trying to summarize what we do over there, Chris. We've been doing this for coming up to 5 years as well. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
since 2020, we've been doing this. That was the beta of all things. But yeah, coming up to 5 years in May, I think is going to be when we hit that mark.
Have you seen a lot of change over the past 5 years in terms of what you're teaching or how the industry has changed or what types of content are resonating with students at all? Or has it been a pretty
Yeah,
steady course?
significant. So our courses as it is today, like we're sort of known for our cyber defense analyst program. That's our big
Hmm.
thing, our 14-week training program. That has changed so much since the beginning alone. But there's been a lot of market changes, interest in students, what they want to see. When we first started doing this, students kind of just wanted like a little bit of like a flavor of the week type of learning, module here, module there. And then even like about a year and a half, two into it, then they said, well, we kind of want to go and get some more, this is like simulated kind of training. And that's where the virtual SOC that we have right now was starting to be conceived, was so quite early on. So I've definitely seen a lot of changes, a lot of the hype cycle. Pen testing was very, very shiny. I mean, it's still shiny.
It's
Everyone
still
kind of likes that
shiny,
side.
yeah.
Yeah. But that had a huge demand, and then that sort of has changed as well too. And then um, security ops types of courses, defensive stuff has really started to change and be a lot more in demand as well too. Once people started to realize and a lot of cybersecurity work is defensive.
Yeah.
Ton of changes.
I didn't realize that you guys specifically got demand for pen test content. I know you don't really have any of that now. Did you ever think
Yeah.
about it, or do you plan to maybe in the future kind of branch out and expand?
We were so close. So we actually have the skeleton, and I actually did build out like a pen test 101 foundations, which was
Yeah,
going to be a
interesting.
larger course. Yeah, there was quite a bit of demand for it early on, and we still have it. We're still debating. We might just kind of turn that into a stream one day and kind of pull it out of the hat and kind of see what's still there. But yeah, we just made a decision at that time. It's like, well, are we going to kind of dilute what we do, or do we just kind of want to go full in on defensive? And we decided to do that, really.
Yeah, I think it's a good decision. Niching down just it makes every other decision that you make a little bit easier, a little bit
Yeah.
simpler. Like
Hmm.
we struggle with that often because we've got a lot of different course creators supporting different industries in different types of content delivery formats, whether it's online, there's like on-demand courses, or it's a workshop that you're hosting for, it's live. It might be virtual, it might be in person, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of different feature sets that come with each one of those, and it's tough to prioritize sometimes. So definitely having one specific focus of we are training, defensive cybersecurity analysts for you must be, yeah, a relief and really helpful for the quality of your content too, I think.
Totally agree with you, man. And I like to give students a bit of a hard time, tell them to stop chasing shiny objects, but I mean, we're guilty of it. That's like a startup mentality, right? Like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people that want this. Let's build that feature. And then are we still doing the right thing? It's hard to say.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
hacking's fun. Barrett
Hacking.
and I both have a red teaming background, so we know
Yeah.
we've felt the itch before.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about CDA and the
Hmm.
live format. How does that work kind of logistically? Maybe a little bit of kind of early days on that, and then
Yeah.
as you've transitioned to using CourseStack, like how has the delivery and format changed over time there?
Yeah, I think that'll help you and maybe the viewers as well too to get some insight, sort of our growing pains. Because just I'm not sure if everyone fully knows. Like I've said it kind of right now, but we weren't on CourseStack forever. So we actually had our own LMS, our learning management system that we built our own. That was back in 2020, and Level Effect was essentially this training school that would train students in this 14 to 15-ish week kind of program at the time of, but we also needed an LMS. None of them really fit the bill at the time. So we were also sort of like a SaaS without charging for like a software as a service company without charging for access to the platform. But we had to build an LMS to support our 14-week training program, which didn't exist. So we are kind of there was like a fork in the road. There was always like a battle at Level Effect for a while of like how much time and resources should we be committing to building out the LMS, this software as a service type of experience for the students, but also still building a training program and providing an admissions type of school experience for that as well too. Because I think that's a very different thing than on-demand content, where it's like, here you go, we're sort of there in Discord, we can support you, but a school is like going to university or college. There's an intake, there's check-ins, there's afterwards checking in, there's alumni, like there's this whole experience to it. So it's sort of like midway through all of that. I think our LMS was good and supportive of what we were doing, but we did have to come to a full decision, and that's where our discussions started to come in. Is are we a SaaS LMS app company? Like, are we building software or are we training students? And I think that was
Yeah,
really the guiding sort of governing principle. And we said, you know what? Let's focus on what we want to do, and that's training students. And that's really where CourseStack came in. So
yeah, that's awesome. We had some of this kind of same decisions to make when we were really early on. We're building this LMS platform. It supports content. Should we go down a content road at all? And yeah, we're very deliberate in saying no to that and deciding, okay, we want to try to do the SaaS route and just be a platform, help other creators build whatever it is they want, whether that's a CDA analyst type of course like you've got, or
yeah.
we I think we had one course title show up one time, like a cooking class, It was never published, but super surprising to see something like that on the platform. And yeah, it just goes to show how much flexibility there is when you're only focusing on the delivery side of things rather than making the content. There's just a whole slew of less decisions to make, and yeah, really
Yeah.
focuses things.
Yeah, pretty much, right? It's like you said, right? Like once you know what you want to do, then your targets are clear. And that made a huge difference for us. So since back in 2020, one of Level Effect's core goals was to get to an on-demand level of offering. And our platform, you see, and this is something that I think a lot of people need to consider when they're building cybersecurity training content is who is your end user and what does their learning experience have to feel like and what does it have to support? We built the LMS at the time of to build and support a school-based experience, like a trade school, like we said. Um, but in doing so, it wasn't really ready for on demand. And so that's
Sure.
where things started to have to be considered of, well, are we going to build out this whole LMS more where an on-demand student has very different needs than a live instructor-led student where we're there to support you and answer questions. So I think for those of you that are listening and those of you that are considering training, um, well before you even start considering your LMS and your learning management system, like the platform itself, figuring out who your content is for is so important because that's really going to dictate what you need to do to deliver it. There, we like to kind of joke around, right? That you can throw a rock and like you'll hit a training program. Like there's so many like cybersecurity training programs out there,
There's
right?
a
Just like
lot.
throw it and you're going to hit something. But in order to do it well, that people keep coming back to, their experience has to be good. It has to feel valuable, it has to feel meaningful, it has to feel like they're making progress, they're getting feedback, and that's where your LMS comes in. Not your training content, and you can only have so many touch points with your instructors before you just won't be able to scale, right? If it's just always on the instructor to carry the program and the training. So um, what will really discern that difference of students coming back is going to be heavily reliant on their experience itself. And I think, we've seen chat over there, Rana had mentioned CourseStack runs smoother than the old platform. It does. And I think all what we've done is we've lifted up our content and moved it over to CourseStack. And it's because of that we have an on-demand offering. Had we tried to do this on our own LMS prior to, I don't think we would have had the students stick around as much. It just wouldn't have been as performant or as scalable as CoreStack is right now. I think it was the right decision, and I think it's reflected in our growth. We've turned a live training school that we were doing it for 4 years into essentially a fully on-demand school in a matter of months. And we've done that from kind of two things. We were enabled by you guys, so you allowed us to do that, and then we had
Sure.
our content that we're able to translate over there easily. So sort of like the two pieces of the recipe were there. That's a lot at once, but I hope that kind of gives some
Yeah.
like
No,
insight to the listeners. It's
that's awesome. Um, yeah, kind of that's really what I was hoping folks would get out of this is a lot of the behind the curtains details of how you go about creating content and thinking through these types of decisions is actually that kind of build versus buy that you were grappling with is
yeah,
something we've talked to about with a lot of our prospects. They're kind of, especially the folks that are doing cybersecurity work. It's an industry where the folks are super technical. They've got coding skills. They could do this to
hmm
some level, at least. They could build a basic LMS and deliver some content. But is it going to be worth your time and effort to go and do that when there are other good options out there to host your content, to host the hands-on portions? That's really why we started CourseStack, was we saw that gap in the online learning management system market where
hmm
you might be able to use Thinkific or Teachable or Podia, host some
hmm
videos and rich text type of content, link over to other platforms for hands-on here and there. But the student experience isn't great when you're managing multiple logins for the same
yeah,
course. You don't get like analytics in the same spot. It's just not as nice of an experience on either side. So we thought that
Hmm.
there was a great opportunity to help folks like yourself kind of skip the pain of doing the build out themselves while also improving a lot of the quality and experience for the students as well. And hopefully that means, more course sales for you, more students, more engagement, and just everyone's happier.
It's very true. You mentioned logins, and I can tell you. So for everyone listening right now and catching the recording after, having a student have to log into two different locations can literally make or break the student experience. And it sounds like, come on, it's just like another login. It's not. Having to have data siloed in two different places and putting that onus on the student to cognitively have to remember and go through the steps of doing something here, doing something there is actually quite jarring to the student's learning experience. There's a lot of friction in just having the separate
Hmm.
login. And we experienced that. Our initial LMS had students logging into multiple locations, and I can tell you the majority of students would do something in one place where they shouldn't have, and it didn't matter how many instructions we provided. We had warnings, we had banners, it didn't matter. Just the fact that like someone when they're in a learning mode, they're ready to learn. They're not ready to manage and maintain their learning studies and their experience. It's like when you're working at your desk, right? Like you take out your notebook and you're writing down. You don't want
Yep.
to have to go and set up your desk every single time you do that. You just want to kind of get to it. And that's really, it sounds again quite small, but that's one of many considerations. Like where does the student log in? How many clicks does it take to get to one thing? Um, the time it takes to load something up so that they don't get distracted and chase another thing. Like you name it. So having the quiz built in, content quiz underneath it, all those things. And again, these are a lot of reasons why we went with CourseStack. Not to just like sit here and try to blow smoke. It's like I really mean this. I'm speaking from a position where we built and managed this ourselves, and it was incredibly difficult to get right while also delivering training content. And I think that's really something people need to consider is
Hmm.
if you
And
can offload it for
yeah,
sure.
and there's a whole other aspect as well, I think, that people take for granted, and that's the kind of student support burden that you're going to take on.
Yes.
So if you have two different logins, like that's automatically double the support needed just out of
Hmm.
the gate for people forgetting their passwords, not being able to log in or reset their password properly.
Hmm.
You'd think that like that's pretty straightforward, but it's actually one of our most common issues people have.
Yeah.
They sign up with a different email than they
Yeah.
realize, that sort of thing. It's just common and it happens. So if you're running two or even maybe three platforms for the student for the same course, you're going to have two or three times as many support requests come in helping with
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And then also, anytime there's a bug with does this VM load properly? Like, is it not coming up? Is there something weird with the course?
Hmm.
Um, all of that kind of technical troubleshooting and bugs and support requests that comes through,
Yeah.
CourseStack is going to have the answer to for you rather than you having to both manage, all right, is this something wrong with my content? Like, is my scenario working properly? Is this question got an incorrect answer? Like, that's
Hmm.
still all stuff you're going to have to manage on the content side, but you don't have to worry about all of the technical troubleshooting issues that are going to go by when you use a third party platform that's doing all that for you. So I think, yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to touch on support there because it's a big piece of the value prop and what CoreStack offers. I think that
Hmm.
often goes overlooked or at least underappreciated at kind of the scope of how much work it is.
Yeah, fully agree. I think as creators are listening again and maybe watching the recording, factoring in your support costs is a reality. It's not just like, hey, I think I can train people and and this is gonna be great. Um, there's a lot that comes with it. And again, yeah, I think CoreStack has really made that much easier for us. And again, comments in the chat, I think prove that as well too. And I've had many students even tell us the same. Uh, not to say that what we had was like the worst thing, but
I saw it.
again,
It was good, and it
yeah,
had a
like
great name. I like it better than CoreStack probably, but here we are.
Foundry, yeah. Yeah, we called it Foundry and we almost made a Foundry too. It was close. Like I was on the call with you and we were talking about like what do we want to build? And in order for Level Effect to succeed and continue to be a business, we actually would have needed to make a Foundry too. And this is where we kind of said, okay, are we going to build this or are we just going to kind of offload this and give it to someone else? It's just risk transference, you know? It's the whole cyber risk
Yeah,
thing, right? Risk
yeah,
mitigation.
true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I super appreciate the partnership over the past year and change. It's been really fun to see you guys grow and onboard tons of students, make a ton of great content. I think maybe a good time now to kind of switch over towards more of the content side of things for you.
Yeah.
How do you think about building content? How do you approach it actually inside the platform? Like, what's your steps or your other course creator steps to take a course from, all right, here's some content that we want to create. How do you go about making that actually happen? Because it's great as an idea, but a lot of the times you go to sit down to write a paper or do something else that it seems kind of straightforward, but once you do
Yeah.
it, wow, there is a lot to putting this course together. And
Yeah.
I want to help showcase, you know, how much effort you put into the content to, you know, make it as good as it is, but also help give anyone, you know, listening that might be considering doing this themselves a bit of a playbook, if you will, of here's how
Yeah.
we think about it and approach it, and it works well. So you can take kind of the same approach with your own content.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll say the first step is take whatever you think you were going to make and write it down and then throw it away. That'd be the first thing. That's really the first step of the playbook is whatever you think you were first going to build, it's probably not it. And then it begins. Then the actual content development starts to begin. Now, prior to that, there's definitely market research that we do that everyone would do and kind of sampling things and listening to what people are saying that they might need or might not need. And it's not even it's not so much about even like direct market sampling. It's more so listening to what people's problems are. And I'll tell you this, right? Like we had a lot, like a lot of students initially, like I said, asking for pen testing training. Um, but when we asked them what their problems were or what their goals were and what they needed to succeed or their career goals, financial goals, it had nothing to do with pen testing. And at that point, is a student going to buy a pen testing course or are they going to buy something that's going to directly help them succeed? That's what I mean by like the market research is kind of like really putting an ear to the ground and trying to get a very pragmatic, biased, free as much as possible type of approach of what are the students' problems and how do we solve those problems without talking about what the solution is until you can kind of iterate it. So that's really like the prior stuff, right? That happens too.
Yeah.
But then you get that idea and then get ready to throw that away. That's what happens because like that first one is probably not it even. So this playbooks thing sort of happens and you write the first draft to get it written. So it's a lot of drafting and it's using CourseStack directly. We'll load up a brand new course. We'll just give it like a staging course, like as a name, and we'll just start populating an outline. We'll start putting bullet points of what we want to achieve. And it's very, very like doctor's scratch notes, you know, like or like
Sure.
that's kind of what the course looks like for a while. It's just keywords, bullet points, images, diagrams, and you do that for a while. And then it's a lot of internal feedback and asking the team and also trying to get more market data along the way of if you're doing what you're doing is right and it's if it's what people need. And so the nice thing about working with CoreStack is that you can do all of that work directly inside the platform. And I'll give you an example, right? Like prior to this, I would have had to go and set up like a project management tool and do all the work siloed inside of the PM tool and then review it there and then get it copy pasted afterwards inside of CoreStack itself and then do further review from there. And largely because if you look at old LMS systems, um, there's a lot of permissions required. There's a lot of logins. There's a lot of clicks back and forth that you would probably have just used the PM tool to do that. But with CourseStack, you just create the course, share, You both have access to it, and then you just go and write and you review, and then you can comment on it as you go. So a lot of that development can actually happen inside there, but it's a lot of iteration.
Mhm.
Um, and then it's a lot of considering what are the virtual machine requirements. And this is where
Yeah.
if it's a VM based course, and I'll say to the audience, CourseStack is great. I have definitely been one to shoot first and ask questions later. Of like, hey, I think we're gonna do this, and I've already told students we're gonna deliver this virtual SOC.
Is this possible?
Yeah, yeah,
Love
kind
that
of already
question.
said it. Yeah, is this possible? Um, yeah, like we were still figuring out how to deploy the virtual SOC and everything inside of CourseStack, telling students that we were going to do it because we knew that it was going to. Like we knew that was the solution. We knew that was working prior to, and we just needed to find a way to get to yes, even if it was going to get kind of janky along the way. And so working with you guys has been really good because not that we're like trying to take advantage of you, but you guys are very supportive and
We
very,
would never.
very, it's like having like a small dev team, like working with us. Which is, I think, a nice value add that people don't really consider is when you go and you're looking at the other LMS providers, when you need help, it's just like it's an email to some inbox, and you hope that you're going to get the right support. With you guys, it's direct contact with you. So Chris, Barrett, and Evan, like you three guys that are going to be the ones who are implementing the solution. There's no like layers of abstraction between, and I think that's a huge value add that people don't really think about is when the LMS is not supporting your goals, how fast can you get it resolved? And is it even possible? And do you get an alternative solution? And I don't think you get that with other training platforms.
Yeah, really appreciate that. We always feel like it's a partnership with our
Yeah,
customers. We're early on, and it's nice to be able to have such close contact with everyone one on one whenever you need support. And we plan on keeping it that way for absolutely as long as possible.
nice.
So yeah, it's nice, and also we rely on your requests and your feedback to drive our roadmap and decide what are we going to work on next. What do we think is
Mhm.
high impact and valuable for customers, but also just what are you asking for? Like, what do you need that we don't have yet? So yeah, we always
Mhm.
appreciate that sort of feedback and that type of request from you guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's almost like you guys are like open source in some ways. Like you're kind of like an open source team that works with its community of content creators, and you guys do listen to what we need, and I think that's really the cool part because you don't have that input in other platforms. And I can tell you right now, and everyone listening to you, the reason why we even have SOC 100 out there today is because I shot first and asked questions later. And like, hey, like I need to get students enrolled in this stuff in October, but we're also gonna have to give them their exam vouchers later. And we're gonna and like there's a lot of like future design considerations, which you guys are like,
Sure.
yep, we're gonna build that anyway. So like let's try and figure that out along the way. So that's an example. SOC 100 wouldn't have existed had we just went with another provider or try to figure it out ourselves. And yes, it's a little iterative, and maybe the students don't have their exam right away. Maybe they'll have to get it like a couple weeks or a month after or something as we were figuring those kind of kinks out. But the students benefited. Like there's a reason why there are hundreds of students that like some of them are getting jobs today just because of that course is available. And it's because of being able to have this partnership, which I think is something again not a lot of creators think about in terms of being able to be enabled to deliver their goals.
Yeah, super satisfying to hear. Um, well, I want to be conscious of time. We only have 15 minutes left. It's been a great
Yeah.
chat. Is there anything you wanted to show specifically about your content? Show off a little
Yeah.
bit for folks.
So
Um,
speaking of future things, Continuum Con, so our conference that never ends. We're going to be looking to fire that off in June. And this is another example of us getting together and kind of brainstorming. And a lot of students have asked us to deliver a conference or an event of some sort for years. Couldn't have done that before. Couldn't have done that with another platform. And then sitting with you guys being like, all right, this is what we want to deliver. Is it possible? And I think everyone has seen the landing page now. That's again because of us being able to have the conversation and because of you guys we're now planning and we're going to be able to deliver this Continuum Con conference, that students will be able to go to it fully virtual, fully remote, get access to a ton of great content, and then keep it, which is a huge pain point of a lot of conferences, where maybe you get a big stack of like notes, takeaways, and some virtual machine that may not get supported later. Um, no, so you all be able to show up. You're going to get access to the content, enjoy the conference with us, and we can tweak it. If something breaks like a month later that we don't know about, we can go back in and we can fix it. Things like that. And that's really amazing. So a good, true, never-ending cybersecurity conference is coming in June, that we're partnering up with John Hammond over. So Level Fact and John Hammond are going to be delivering this thing, and it's over there in the chat, continuumcon.com. So stay tuned for some more updates on that.
Yeah, super
Um,
exciting. We're really pumped to see that come together. We'll have some custom stuff for you there.
yeah.
I hope thousands of people show up and participate and stick around for next year and the year after. It could be something that's really cool if it works like you want it to, and if it takes off a little bit. I think it could be a super awesome resource for the community. And speaking of partnering with John Hammond and team, if you like this chat at all, we're going to have a similar conversation with them next week, same time, about their content, just hacking training, and a little bit different focus, more on their particular flavor of course delivery. But yeah, keep a lookout for another registration link for that one. Anthony, maybe you can join and poke fun.
Yeah.
You're certainly welcome to come as well.
Hang on the chat. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
we've got a few minutes left here. I wanted to make sure we give some dedicated time for questions if
Mhm.
there are anyone thinking about creating content on the platform. You've got the three founders here that built the whole thing, and by the three of us, I mean Barrett and Evan built the whole thing themselves. So we'll definitely be able to answer any of those questions. And we've also got a 50% off coupon for you. That's good for 6 months of any of the paid tiers, and of course we're free to start out as well on build. So you can use the LE Webinar 50 code at checkout for 50% off for 6 months. And that really what that'll do is that'll let you get you and your team, so get extra creators in there to check the platform out. Yeah, and I know there's some changes coming on your side as well, Anthony, with some of your flagship content in a few months.
Yeah.
So get it while it's hot is what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard right. Um, So our cyber defense analyst on demand course, we were able to launch it as a special launch rate back in towards the end of last summer. So I think that's when it went live. So we had it out there at the gates of 499 as a special launch rate, sort of just give everyone a lot of time to acclimate and try it out, as well too some new students and such. That special rate's going to be going up at the end of March. So that's the end of our special rate. And I'll definitely broadcast that around in socials as well too. So that's going to be a little bit of a news drop. So we're going to bring that back up to its proper MSRP. It's proper market rate, and give everyone some time to go and grab that. And who knows, maybe even do like a giveaway or something possibly. That's again me shooting first, asking questions later. I don't know. We'll see if that's going to be possible, but that's some news that end of March that is going to go up.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like there is so much content in that course.
It's
It's a steal,
massive.
right? It's a steal right now. I don't know how you're getting by with only charging 499 for it. So
Yeah,
um,
definitely need to bring that up a little bit for sure.
if if you're not already a student or have done any of Anthony's content, Level Effects content, I just posted their site in the chat, where all their courses are hosted. It's a CourseStack platform site, but also leveleffect.com. You should check it out. They've got much better and more detailed descriptions about everything and the team and their mission, which is great. Anthony, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for talking about CourseStack for so long. Hopefully it was fun for you. It was definitely fun for us.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyone that has questions or wants to reach out, feel free. You can reach all of us at Chris, Barrett, or Evan at CourseStack.com for email, or hit up the contact form on the website.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Chris, Barrett, and Evan again for just being an awesome partnership to work with and enabling us to succeed and really change students' lives. Truly. So I hope you guys feel good about that. It allows us to do what we're doing, and we're definitely appreciative and grateful for it. And for the chat as well too. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming out this Tuesday. And I see some comments inside of our Discord popping up as well there too. That it looks like they've enjoyed it. But yes, thanks again, guys, and thank you everyone in chat as well too. This was really good.
Alrighty, talk soon, Anthony. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Take care, everyone.